So this video has been a long time coming. So 2 years ago, I want to say in the middle of 2020, I asked you guys to send me any and all questions you had about being Black in South Korea. And since then, I had been putting that video off just because my vision for it was to invite some friends to come shoot this video with me. And of course, with the pandemic getting worse, that wasn't really possible, especially because we lived in different parts of Korea as well. But the universe and our schedules finally aligned, and we are here today to talk about our lives being Black women in South Korea. Anyway, hi everyone. If you're a returning viewer to my channel, welcome back. If you're new here, hi and welcome. My name is Taylor, also known as Taylor with an E, and I'm an expat currently living and teaching in South Korea. Let's get into the video. So as you guys can see, I am joined by two friends here. So what we're gonna do first is I'm gonna have them introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Courtney, and I have lived in Korea for, I guess this is my 6th year now. I actually came at the exact same time as Taylor. We were day one friends. I am 32 years old. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. What brought me to Korea is that I was working previously in America, but I was pretty unhappy with my job and like where my life was kind of taking me. So I noticed that some of my university friends had come to Korea to be EPIC teachers, and I saw their pictures and everything, and I thought it looked like so fun and amazing and just like a good opportunity. So I thought, why not me? And so I came.
And you're still here.
I'm still here. Yeah, I told my mom, see you in 2 years, and now it's been 6. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying my time out here, and I like Korea.
Hi everyone, my name is Hunter Brene. I am 27 years old. I live in Seoul, South Korea. I've been in Korea for 1 year now. I'm starting year 2. Woo woo. And what brought me to Korea? So when I was young, I had exposure to Korean culture, and it really shaped who I was as a young person. Of course, later on getting into K-dramas and K-pop, it really boosted my desire to come to Korea. And then also on top of that, I am interested in pursuing music and maybe modeling. So Korea is a great hotspot for that, especially with the music scene boosting and booming here. So
for sure.
Yeah, happy to be here for sure. Like, love being here in Korea.
And I guess for those of you who don't know me, my name is Taylor. I am 31 years old from the USA. Like Courtney said, I came with the same EPIC intake as her, so we came about 5 years ago. We're in our 6th year here in Korea. Was with EPIC for 5 years, just started my private school job this year for my 6th year. And I guess what brought me to Korea was kind of the same as Courtney. You know, I was in the workforce for 3 years after college, and I had this whole plan of how I saw my career going, and it was not following that plan at all. And I was not happy. I was stressed all the time. It just, life was just not where I wanted it to be. And you know, living abroad was something I always wanted to do, and Korea was at the top of my list. So yeah, still here. Also thought I would be here for 2 years, and then we are on year 6. So that is where we are. But I think it's so great that, you know, Courtney and Hunter are here joining me for this video today. You know, you guys hear me talk a lot about my experiences in Korea, and I just thought for a video like this, where we're talking about this topic of being Black in Korea, I think it's great to have different perspectives and experiences, especially from someone who's been in Korea just as long as I have, and someone who's still relatively new. And so with that, let's get started.
Actually, yes. Especially living in Daegu, there's a very large military base in Daegu, so on a daily basis, I see a lot of other Black people, especially.
Yeah, and so I'd say the same. Obviously, relative to the whole population, no.
Right. Exactly. Oh, very
5%.
I think it's like 2%. Foreigners in general, it's like 2% of the population in Korea. I was surprised at how many Black people I saw in Korea, especially when I first came. Like, even just with our EPIC intake, I was expecting to be one of few. Going to Daegu, there's a lot more than I expected. And it's also part of it because the foreigners tend to stick in groups in Korea. So we know where to go to see other foreigners. And so we're not seeing that 2%.
It feels like a lot more.
It feels like a lot more because we're constantly in these foreigner atmospheres. Was there a lot of people calling your intake?
Yes. Yeah. I was surprised because just in life, we're often few.
Yeah.
Right.
Like in school.
Yeah.
Like in our jobs.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, oh, snap.
We out here.
I am among family. I'm among friends. Of the Black people that are here, it's so diverse.
Right.
Yeah. It's people from South Africa. It's people from the UK. People from America. So you're having different accents, different cultures, all mixing together. So
It's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And then there's also just like groups on Facebook and places you can communicate and get to know other Black foreigners here in Korea. Like the Brothers and Sisters in Korea group has like 13,000 members.
Yeah.
I know about that one.
Like, and they are all people who have either lived in Korea or currently still live in Korea
Or
or interested in moving to Korea.
Yeah.
There's also like the Natural Beauty in Korea Facebook group, which is mostly for Black women with natural hair, and it has a lot of good resources.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think it's easy if you are comfortable putting yourself out there. So the Brothers and Sisters group, before COVID, they would have meetups and stuff. So if you joined those meetups, then I think it would be much easier to form a community of people around you. But if you are not comfortable putting yourself out there, then of course it's going to be more difficult.
Yeah, I think it also just kind of depends how you come to Korea. Coming with Epic, you're automatically put into this community of teachers, which, some of them are Black and you have that mini connection. You could be in the same city too. So that was a very easy way, I think, for all of us.
That's what happened with us.
Exactly, to find a community here. Again, like in Daegu, you have the military right there.
Yeah.
You have other teachers, and there's just this one place where all the foreigners go. And, there's the one hip hop club where all the foreigners go.
Hey, now Daegu has like 2.
Yeah.
Okay, Daegu, popping off. My best friends that I have here, I met them because they live in my building.
Oh,
So
wow.
I would see my friend walking to school and from school, and I was like,
Who are you?
and one day I was feeling nice.
Right.
I talked to her. And from there, the friendship just grew and more people from our area started coming together. So
That's nice.
Be social.
Yeah,
Talk to people
exactly.
when you see them on the subway.
Yeah, exactly.
Compliment their shoes, compliment their outfits if you want to like connect.
Right.
I mean, I think it's so much easier to do it out here because more than likely you're in the same situation.
Right.
You don't really know anyone.
Yes.
You're also looking to meet other people. Whereas like back home, I would keep to myself a lot more. Like, I wouldn't put myself out there like I would here in Korea.
And I think that you have to put yourself out there.
Right.
To
You're
make
forced
friendships
to.
here. Yeah.
You have to be
Like,
brave.
people aren't just gonna come to you. You have to kind of meet people in the middle.
Right. No, actually, I would say no. I would say, especially with kids, they think I'm from Africa. Yeah.
For me, a lot of the older people don't assume anything. They just ask me where I'm from.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's like you said, the kids, the students, because they have a limited exposure to what a foreigner is or looks like, and based on the media, they think Americans are white.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
They
true.
automatically assume that Americans are white.
Or if they see Africa, it's
All black.
people. All black people, yeah. So you said yes.
Yeah.
So people assume you're American.
And I think maybe it is a media thing. Like a lot of media these days that they consume is like rap music.
Yes.
The signs. I get a lot of questions about, can you rap?
Right. You have soul,
Do you have soul? Can you dance?
swag.
Swag?
But I guess most rap music, like mainstream, comes from the U.S. So
Yeah.
that would make sense.
I would also think that that's maybe kind of a difference between you living in Seoul and me living in Daegu.
Oh, yeah.
Daegu is a major city, but it is smaller than Seoul, and it's a bit more conservative. It's a lot more conservative than Seoul. So it's just people's mindsets are a bit different in Daegu.
Yeah. The media that they intake is going to be different.
I think that kind of explains why people assume you're from America.
So I think this is an interesting question because
all three of us are natural.
Yeah, we all have natural hair. hair. I did not come to Korea with natural hair, but I think having been natural for now at least like 2 years. Like
2 years?
I know.
Congratulations!
Being chopped 2 years ago.
Wow. Okay, I'll go first. So I came to Korea with my natural hair. I have no qualms, no fears, no anything about wearing my natural hair out. The only thing that bothers me here is the humidity. The humidity is what gets you, right? You can have a fresh twist out, but as soon as you step outside, all your hard work gone. That's why I got braids right now. I love having natural hair. I love wearing my natural hair out. More than you think, other people also, like Korean people as well, really enjoy seeing our natural hair. Yeah, they're gonna have questions, and I mean, depending on your mood, it could feel rude or not, but it's just genuine curiosity, I think.
Right.
As far as products, I have my mom send me the products that I like to use. I use a brand called Camille Rose, and it's a bit difficult to get them shipped here. Like, it is possible, but like shipping directly from their site is very expensive, and shipping from Amazon can be a bit expensive. So my mom will just send me in bulk 4 shampoos, and they last me forever because I only shampoo my hair. You know. Right.
That part.
When I feel like.
Exactly. I know, Hunter, you made a whole video about taking care of your hair in Korea.
So in terms of comfortability, very comfortable wearing my natural hair. At first, the kids were kind of like, what's happening?
Yeah, right.
And they were curious about my texture, my style, like why does it change so often?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But I think at this point, because the people in my town have seen me walk all about, so they're always, it's the girl with curly hair, it's gonna change day by day. They do have questions about the baby hairs though, and they always do this. It's like this.
That's cute.
It's just like, it's just, I just swoop the hair. Like, In terms of hair products, I recommend iHerb. iHerb's a good website to buy from. Coupons. Now it has Shea Moisture and some other brands.
Yeah, I think for me in my natural hair journey in Korea, for me it was a little different, like I said, because I didn't start out natural. One, the humidity did get to me. Before I switched to natural, one of the reasons why I did get the Korean Magic Straight Perm was to deal with humidity. But as far as then going natural, I think I would have had a little bit more hesitancy if I wasn't moving. So I did the big chop right in between the move from Daegu to Incheon. So I was going to a completely new school, new kids, new teachers. So people just who have never seen me before. So I think if I would have stayed in Daegu at the same school, there would have been a lot more of a shock factor, and a lot more attention to me doing it. But wearing my natural hair on a daily basis, there's really no hesitancy at all. And we'll talk about this later too, but people stare here.
Regardless.
Regardless. So it's like they'll stare whether you have straight hair, they'll stare whether you have natural. So give them a show.
Give them something to
give
look
them
at.
some proud black women rocking their natural hair.
There's no shame in our hair.
It's how it grows.
Exactly.
It's my hair. So I wear my hair however I choose to wear it, and I love my hair.
Exactly. Again, they're gonna stare regardless. So give them something to stare at.
Give them a little leg too while you're at it.
I do on a daily basis. I do.
As far as products go, I still use Shea Moisture, so I've been using it ever since I went natural. And, like Hunter said, it's on Coupon, it's on Amazon. So it's easy for me to get those products here. There's also shipping forwarders you can use as well. And there's one great black-owned one called Pali Pali. She's based in America, right? And she can ship you products from America to Korea
in a matter of days.
I'm learning so much.
Exactly.
Pali Express.
Pali Express. Support black business.
Oh, and we didn't mention it, but there are a lot of black-owned shops here too.
Especially got my braids done.
Your braids done. You can get your hair straightened. You can get blowout, anything like that.
There's lots of women near the different military bases, like in Daegu and Pyeongtaek and Seoul, that do black hair. And always do your research. Like on the Facebook groups, people leave reviews, and the stylist will put up pictures. But there are licensed women out here to do your hair as well. Yes, they have. And so right now, as you can see, I have kind of long braids. So right now, I've got a lot of my students touching my hair, and As far as the kids go, if they ask me first, I always say yes. Because I know that they're just curious and they're going to touch very quickly and then be done. But when I suddenly like see their hands reaching or I can feel them, I always tell them, don't touch. Ask first, you know?
Right, yeah.
I try to establish that kind of boundary. But a problem that I've had in the past, it hasn't been a problem since COVID, I guess. People respecting personal space more now.
Yeah.
But a problem I had in the past was random, usually always older Korean
Usually
women.
always
Older Korean women touching my hair with saying nothing to me, just coming up and like touching my hair. I have a wild story about that, y'all. One day I was in downtown Daegu, and you see a lot of older people in Daegu and Korea in general picking up recycling and trash and like boxes around the street. So there's an older woman who was doing that, and then she walked past, she sees me, she comes over, same hands that had just been picking up the trash, grabs my hair. And I was still pretty new to Korea at that time, so I was just like, yeah. I didn't have the Korean skills to say anything, and I was also still in shock, so I didn't say anything to her other than, and like moved away. But yeah, it's...
Wow.
She was touching the trash, y'all.
Oh, that is so disrespectful.
It was.
Yeah.
It really was. But since COVID has happened, like I haven't had anybody except for my students trying to touch my hair.
My experiences are similar to Courtney's. When I had braids,
It's always the braid.
yeah, because I got them right before summer camp.
Yeah.
And so the kids were like, oh,
Wow,
girl,
teacher! The longer they are, the more amazed they are.
and they think it's real. Like they think it's genuinely your real hair. So they're like, oh, it was like this, and now it's like this. Like, oh my gosh. Teachers too, they were like, oh girl.
Like, how did you do that? I'm like,
They're like, oh, and it's colored. Like,
Yeah,
where the color from?
yeah. They're like, did you dye your hair? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
right.
I did.
Yeah.
And with my natural hair, and this is one of my trauma horror stories.
no, boy.
So it was actually on a date with a guy.
Oh no.
I've been seeing him for like a month. So
Okay.
like he had seen my hair
Yeah.
consistently, and we got drinks,
Yeah.
and he was like, can I touch your hair? And so he asked.
Right, he did
But
ask.
I said no.
Okay.
And he proceeds
No.
to
God.
reach his big hand.
No.
Like he didn't
Gently
do it
caress.
gently. It was like the
Oh no.
like the
After you
whole-
said no.
After I said no, that was the last time I saw that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because he doesn't respect boundaries.
I'm thankful that I've had limited experience, but that one experience
Yeah.
totally
And
turned me off.
Good for you for being like,
Right.
that was a boundary you
was
crossed.
huge.
No more.
Yeah, I think for me, I definitely had both sides of it because, like I said, I did go natural while I was living in Korea. So when I had my straight hair and was living in Daegu, I mean, there was really just no attention on it because there wasn't an all factor. So I never had anyone try to touch my hair. But I thought I was going to get that once I moved to Incheon and had the big chop. I was like, oh my gosh, people about to be all over my head. I was prepared, right? Because I heard all these stories about it. But even then, so 2 years in Incheon, it didn't happen until probably towards the end of my second year. So I had been in Korea for at least 5.5 years before someone tried to touch my hair. And it kind of like Courtney, the first time it happened, I was just shocked because I was in a hospital.
Oh,
like,
no.
I was trying to pay, my bill or whatever. And so this lady was in the booth next to me, and then she was just like,
No.
but that was like really the only experience with someone older doing it. Now, moving to this new school, these kids are all over me. Like, I can't even bend down without a hand trying to reach over and touch my puff. Again, asking is a tiny bit better, but it really gets me when it's just, they just reach over. I don't know how to react.
And also, I think about it as, yes, hair is something small, but people not respecting boundaries.
Right. It's the respect.
It's going to proceed from there. And so because we are raising the youth, we don't want them to then feel comfortable. Oh, okay, like I used to touch my teacher's hair.
Right, so
okay,
it's okay.
now I can touch someone else's body.
Right.
Or I can do something else. And so I think putting into it when they're young, I think is better, and letting them know like boundaries,
Yes.
privacy,
Respect.
For sure.
Boom.
Somebody's mama. I'm somebody's mama. I don't know.
No, it is not. Just straight up, no, it is not. People here, they look, they stare, But if I catch somebody staring, the look in their eyes is never like hostile.
Yes, never malicious.
Yeah, I read about this somewhere that in Japan they have the blinders on, so even if danger or something happens, they just go about their business. Korea is a very observant country. They love to watch things. When things go down, if there's an accident, everybody's watching. So
Everybody's watching.
them looking at non-Korean people, yes, it may make you feel like it's personal, but they do it to everyone.
Everybody.
Like if a new ajima on the street has a new haircut, everybody's, oh, look at her. Oh,
Right.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
If Korean teenagers are being loud,
Yeah,
they're looking.
Yeah.
If
Somebody
someone's on the
train,
phone,
they're looking.
they're looking.
I think it's just like you are part of this homogenous society. I talked
Yes.
about a little bit about this in my other video. Like we said, 2% are foreigners.
Yeah,
you
we
know?
stick out.
We stick out. When I did talk about this in my other video, I did get a comment from a Korean person kind of expanding on the why, and she just kind of went into, if you were to go to Africa, you know, and you were Korean, or
Right,
you're white,
they're gonna stick out.
Yeah, you're gonna stick
gonna
out, and
stare.
they probably will stare too.
absolutely.
You know, as Black people, I think a lot of us, especially as English teachers, we're coming from these countries where it is a lot more diverse. So seeing people of different cultures is not different at all.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you got to realize, for them, you know,
Different.
Brand
yeah.
new.
It's new, it's different, it's interesting.
Because we forget that South Korea, particularly, this boom happened 20 years ago.
Right.
So having all these new media outlets, new people coming
Yeah.
to the country, now people are coming from modeling, people are coming
Yeah.
from business. Like this
Right.
is so new for them.
Right.
So especially the older generation,
Yeah.
it's a real culture shock. And so to see you in that little post butt town,
I know.
you know, you're just walking around like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, I'm used to it. It's nothing really. There's nothing we can do about it.
Right.
I'm
you
getting
know?
used to it.
Yeah,
I
you're
think
getting.
it takes time.
It does take time.
It does, yeah.
It does take time.
Especially when you're having a bad day.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And like there's an excess of people staring, or like what gets me is if someone is looking, and I like to glance at them and like let them know I acknowledge you, that you're looking at me, and then they don't look away. And we're in a
No,
staring
that's so
contest.
awkward. Oh,
And I'm like, please look away. Like I'm a little socially awkward. Like, let's not do that. But like they said, it takes time, and don't take it personally. Like Courtney said, hey, if they're gonna look, give them a show. Like make it worth their while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd say most of the time it is not hostile. Of course, there are people who actively dislike foreigners,
Yes.
maybe even dislike Black foreigners, but they are definitely not the majority, and that's not something I have personally encountered.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I think that probably the only hardship for me personally is getting hair products and makeup, but that's not even like a real hardship, you know?
Agreed.
I can order things online. Other than that, I don't personally feel like it has been difficult for me because I am Black.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I think the difficulties lie because I'm a foreigner
Right.
in Korea.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I feel like the difficulties I have run into is just getting used to living in a foreign country, and not necessarily because I'm Black. There's not many things that make your life harder because you're Black versus because you're a foreigner. Not saying it doesn't exist, but it's definitely not as prevalent.
For me, the people that I've met, they've told me I am their first non-Korean friend. But I think on top of that, because we are Black women, there are questions and curiosity about our hair, about our smell.
Yes.
I had my cousin, you always just smell so. It's like there's this scent. It's cocoa butter, baby. Honestly, the things that have happened being in Korea as a Black woman, they're not things of concern. It's things coming from curiosity.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I didn't know that happened with people, or I didn't know that these sort of things existed for people.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily making your life difficult here. It's
just questions.
Yeah,
and
questions.
depending on my mood, I'll answer them.
Right, exactly. We're perceived mostly as how they see us in the media, because that's where they are getting most of their information about us from, which is a very stereotypical.
Yeah, so many
view
people
of
think I
us.
can sing. Do people think you can sing?
Oh gosh.
Yes.
People think I can sing, and I'm like, I cannot. I'm so sorry. I cannot.
Honestly, I'm hyping myself in my head. Because like all the stereotypes that people have, like, I'm that.
You can sing?
Are you? Can you sing?
Oh,
yeah. Are you
she's-
athletic?
yeah.
Yes. Can you dance slightly?
Yeah.
I guess My answer to this, I don't have an answer because
Mm-hmm.
I am still new and I'm still figuring that out. Because for a lot of people that I've met, again, I'm their first experience with a black person in Korea. I'm their first experience with a non-Korean person in general.
But I think that's also like a big thing of it. Sometimes you are their first perception of someone black here. So I don't think there's one
Blanket.
No.
perception of us. I think there's definitely stereotypes they have of us, but
And Hunter fits them.
I didn't mean to.
And there's nothing wrong with that because it's who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my experience is just really different, and I'm going to view it as a blessing. I think coming to Korea, I was expecting that I would have to change people's perspective. Because honestly, in my life, that's what I've had to do in a lot of situations, is I am reshaping, or I'm choosing, because it was a choice. I chose to reshape how people saw black women, black people in America. And so coming here, I thought, oh, I got to put my cape on again. You know, I got to save the black race.
Yeah.
And no.
It really hasn't been the
You
experience.
don't, people really, they don't care. In my life, they really don't care. They're just like, you are who you are.
Right.
Like your hair, your style, everything that you are not representative of all black people. And I think that has been a blessing to experience because I didn't experience that before coming to Korea.
Yeah, and I think there's also a difference with you coming in 2021 and us coming 2017. Like, it's just a few years, but I think that few years also made a difference, and
Totally different place.
the numbers of black people who have come to Korea since 2017 keep increasing, and especially black teachers, black models, black actors. So your experience first coming in, it's different. Culturally, Korea has grown a lot in just a few years. And
Yeah, they're becoming more global for sure.
And the exposure to media has expanded.
This is a little silly, but I felt like y'all had to walk so that we could run. And the teachers before y'all had to crawl so that y'all could walk.
They were crawling through the mud.
And then the next teachers, they'll be able to sprint. They're flying. I think people have hesitations.
Yeah, hesitations, and you're hearing more about some businesses even these days not letting foreigners in.
It's not usually specifically stated black foreigners.
Yes.
Right? It's a
Just foreigners.
overall foreigner ban, but there have been some more instances recently of that. So restaurants, museums, movie theaters, cafes, I don't get treated any differently than any other paying customer. The only thing is maybe when I first walk up to the counter, the person's like, oh God, do I have to speak English?
It's a little freak out. It's the little freak out of like, they probably don't know Korean.
Yeah.
And right. And I feel like that's where if discrimination happens, it's at these bars, at these nightclubs. You don't really experience it day to day, going out to a cafe, going shopping, like
housing.
Housing. Well, yeah, I guess housing is
happens.
another. Yeah, but again, that's more foreigner than it is black.
It's definitely
being
foreigner
black.
than being black. So I moved to a new apartment, and at first, the landlord of where I'm living, she was like, oh, she's a foreigner? Now I'm not so sure about renting this space to her. But the real estate agent I was with was really kind and like spoke to her, was like, listen, she's 30 years old, she's a teacher, she's a responsible adult. You don't need to worry about anything. She's not like a 21-year-old who's gonna trash your place. So after I moved in, I had zero problems with the landlord.
Which they've probably had experiences with foreigners renting, and most foreigners aren't here for the long term, so, and some skip out in the middle of the night.
That does happen. It does happen.
So I can understand
the
where
hesitancy, and real estate is not cheap here. Like, this is an investment for the landlord, so they also want to make sure that what they have invested their money in is going to work out well for them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Like, you have to kind of think about it from that perspective. It is unfortunate and it does suck, but like, real estate is expensive here. So these people have invested a good chunk of their money, and they need to make sure that they're not going to lose out.
I don't think so. So I guess if we're comparing racial profiling in the USA to racial profiling in Korea,
I choose Korea every day.
right? Yeah,
All day.
And you're comparing two different things.
Yeah.
And you don't have, it's not a safety issue.
Yeah, it's not a safety issue.
I've never not felt safe here in Korea, anywhere. And I've traveled close to the border up north. I've traveled down south to Busan. Like, I've never felt as though my life is in danger.
Because you're a black woman.
Because I'm a black woman.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Same. Not at all.
Yeah, for me, no. Part of that, again, I am in Seoul. So I have a little bit of privilege in that way. I think the only thing that felt like it was limiting me or separating me from everyone else is just the language barrier.
Yeah, I have had no problems at my schools. So I teach at 2 schools right now, and before I moved to these 2 schools, I was also at 2 other schools. So I've been in 4 public schools in Korea, and I have never once felt that the teachers or administration or anybody has been racist towards me or discriminatory towards me. In fact, all the teachers at my schools have been very kind, very open, very friendly, very welcoming, very warm. I even had one woman tell me, she was an English teacher last year. She told me that she was happy that the school was getting a black teacher this year to like expose the kids to different cultures because the previous 2 teachers were both white women, which was, I was like, I mean, thank you, but
Are you aware?
Right.
Like I'm happy to expose the kids to black women and black people also, but I didn't expect that kind of comment, which felt nice.
Same. Teachers are great. They make me feel welcome.
Right. Like I've heard stories from other people.
Yeah.
But I have not personally experienced that, and
It's been a blessing, honestly.
It's
like a whole 180 from how I was feeling in America, because I came in the heat of
Black Lives Matter.
People getting killed by the police.
Yeah.
And I was just so mentally and emotionally drained from feeling like anytime I step outside, my mom's literally praying over me. Family's praying anytime that we're leaving the house. Of course, COVID's happening. We don't feel comfortable being around people. So being here, and I actually got drinks with a teacher the other night, and she told me, "I'm so happy that you're here."
Aww.
And when I tell you, I cried. Because as English teachers, we can feel like a burden.
Yeah, sometimes.
Because they have to take care of us. It's like we're their children.
Sometimes.
So for her to tell me that she appreciates me and that
she's happy that you're here.
Yes, she's happy that I'm here. I'm valued and I'm valuable to her. I was like, wow, that's not how I felt when I was at home.
I felt that at every school I've been in, especially with my co-teachers that I had before too. Like we would become really good friends and really close, and
I still talk to teachers from my first schools.
They
Years
genuinely
later.
care about you.
Yes and no.
Yes and no, I would say.
Yes and no.
Epic, not really.
Yeah,
I feel like Epic is pretty diverse in their hiring. You definitely hear those stories though with Hagwons.
Yes. I haven't heard anything about public schools. Specifically Epic does not only look for white people. Obviously.
Right.
Obviously. But I have seen online where different Hagwons or private academies specifically ask for white candidates or specifically ask for candidates from America and Canada only. Things like that happen.
Sometimes it is overt, but most of the time it isn't. Like you hear it through word of mouth. Mostly, like I've heard stories from white friends who work at Hagwons who tell me about, my Hagwon really just wants to hire another white person. You know, it's very under the table. And so it's there. It's definitely there.
It is there.
But have not experienced it myself.
It has not negatively impacted my life. Yes.
But not because we're black.
No, because we're not Korean. I will say that sometimes it's a good thing. We don't have as much pressure to perform as the Korean teachers do. I feel like we get to have more fun with the students because we don't have to worry about assessment.
We don't deal with parents.
We don't. No.
We don't deal with the paperwork that they deal with.
No.
We're treated like we don't know how to do anything. We don't know how to speak Korean.
It has its advantages and also its disadvantages.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty independent person, so sometimes when I get treated like a baby, I'm like, I can do this.
Right,
But other times I'm like, I don't wanna.
My whole thing being here was I said, I'm going to lean on others because I did that too in America. Very independent. And now I'm just like, oh, you want to do this for me? Okay.
Right.
Thank you so much. I'll buy you coffee later.
It's kind of nice because you don't know anything to begin with, so it's nice to have that extra help. Because Korean teachers obviously don't get that treatment. If you're coming here to be an English teacher, you shouldn't come here with the expectation to be treated like Korean teachers here. Because at that point, I feel like you would be at the level where you could be teaching in your own country.
Right. I think if you have a teaching degree, do not expect to come to a Korean public school and run your classroom. It's not likely that you're going to have your own classroom to like run. Like, you're not going to be able to be 100% in charge.
Yeah, you find that mostly, I guess, more so in Hagwon's private schools and international schools.
More freedom, more liberties.
Yeah, but even in those type of schools, still treated differently than, you know, the Korean teachers. In my public school job, I actually had a class specifically teaching about global cultures, and I would make lessons revolving around different cultures of the world, including different like topics with them. And it's even with my regular lessons, we use a lot of PowerPoints when teaching in Korea, and if there's clip art, if there's a photo, even though most of those resources include white people, make it black. You know, that's just an easy way you can start to expose your students to other cultures.
Not only that, like you said, when I'm making my own PPTs, or even if I'm adapting somebody else's, I will change out the images for black people, black women doctors all day. When students are learning jobs, the doctors are women, and usually black women. Like I use different images. And the Korean textbooks, they have this very short video about different cultures. Like every publisher has them. And usually this only happens with third grade when they see the first one. Like maybe they hear a word or language that they've never heard before, or they see something they've never seen before, and they giggle or laugh. I will stop the video and I will have a conversation with the kids using my co-teacher for translation about how we do not laugh at other people's cultures. We should respect other people's cultures. There's nothing funny. And I even asked them, like, how would you feel if somebody came to Korea and you spoke to them in Korean and they laughed at you? Like, you wouldn't feel good about that. I was like, so I always drill it in. We respect cultures.
I think what I'll add is, coming from America, I recognize that our education system is very limited. Our exposure to different cultures is very limited. So whenever I am doing something culture related, which I haven't had as much exposure yet because I didn't have the time, but usually holidays are a great time to talk about things. So I make sure that I include lessons from other countries. So of course, you know, kids, they love to talk about Christmas. They love to talk about Halloween. But let's talk about, you know, Cinco de Mayo. Let's talk about Kwanzaa. Let's talk about Hanukkah. Let's talk about different holidays that happen during the same time as these holidays that they know. So that they have the exposure and understand, oh, like it's not just about American holidays. It's about world holidays and world traditions that we can be incorporating.
Just try to expose them to positive images of different cultures, not just our culture, but of different cultures. And I think that's probably it is a really important part of our job, is to expose.
I think that's the biggest part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Expose these kids to a culture other than their own.
Where I am glad I have you two here, because I have not been in the dating scene at all in Korea, but I know you guys have had your experiences, so you can probably speak to this question. Who wants to start?
Okay, I'll go first. Prior to coming to Korea, I didn't have a lot of dating experience. And even being here in Korea, I would say I have an adequate amount, but not anything substantial. I think it's tough because for me, I see a lot of people around me getting into relationships and very serious, like both people are very invested in the relationship. And so naturally you long for that. Like,
a little bit,
like when is it gonna be my turn? I've waited so many years, you know, now I finally have the time and the space to focus on love. And it's tough when you just aren't the preference. And I don't want to just put that on Korea because I felt that way in America.
It really is. It really is.
Like, and it's tough to be told you are very beautiful for a black woman. I can't tell you how many times I heard that in my life.
Hate that.
And being told, oh, these features are very nice on you, but it's said not for the reason of dating, but for the reason of taking you to a love motel.
Right.
Or for a one night thing.
Yeah.
It's not, I want you to meet my mom. It's, I want to take you somewhere.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, I think that's the hardest part, is because I know what qualities I bring to the table.
Yeah.
I know that I am a very worthy candidate for love.
Yes.
But it's tough when you just don't feel wanted. You don't feel appreciated. You don't feel valued.
For who you are as a person.
Who you are as a person.
Right.
Yeah.
I 1000% agree with Hunter.
Yeah,
And
6 years in the game here, right here.
barely in the game. I'm barely in the
foot
game.
out.
Yeah, I'm always 1 foot out of the game.
Oh gosh.
I really am, because there is that feeling of not being valued as a person and not being wanted, not being desired, and it sucks. I love myself. I have very high self-esteem.
She does.
Actually.
As you should, Queen.
Yeah, like I'm a very confident person, but it still does hurt
Of course.
when you see people who don't look like you getting what you want. And also, these dating apps out here,
Get them.
Yo.
Talk about it.
trash.
Talk about it.
Horrible.
Say that.
Swaggy.
All right, Bishop. Okay, Bishop.
There are people that I know who have met partners successfully,
Success stories.
married from a dating app. However, 6 years, like one person. One person in 6 years.
And was that a black woman too?
No, she's white.
Because from what I hear on these apps, the men tend not to be as serious also.
Ooh, they're dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're dirty.
Like, let alone you have the obstacle of being a black woman trying to date, but on top of that, you just have men who are not there for
Dating.
It's
a committed
leisure.
relationship.
It's like, I'm bored. Let me hop on the dating apps and talk for a little bit.
Right.
Like, conversations never build beyond the mundane. Hey, how are you doing? How's your day? What'd you eat for lunch?
Right.
That sort of thing.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If that's what you want, great. No judgments.
Yeah.
You know, it is here for you. But if you are interested in seriously dating somebody, that's when it starts being more difficult. And it is difficult for foreigners of all races, but it is more difficult, I think, for black women and for darker skinned black women. When you come to Korea, you need to love yourself. And you need to not want to seek validation from others, because you're gonna need to have that inner strength to make it. You're gonna need it. Trust me.
The ultimate test.
Yeah, self-love.
Yeah.
If you're interested in something deeper, I think that dating apps aren't necessarily the way to go here.
Yeah.
A lot of Korean people meet through blind dates, but that's also difficult, right? Like, you've got to make Korean friends.
Right.
You've got to have Korean friends who have friends who are interested in dating outside of Korea.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Koreans are not that interested in dating outside of their race.
Yes.
Like, not
There's
seriously
a lot
dating.
of barriers there.
Yeah,
Language
cultural barriers.
Cultural barriers.
Which
Even
happens-
just like distance barriers. If you think about getting into a long-term relationship with someone here, and they are Korean and you're from a different country, and you're thinking about that next step, there's a whole other layer of like, where will you live? Because one family's there, one family's here, you know? So there's a lot more to consider once taking that
It's
next step
difficult.
into a long term.
Yeah, there's a lot to consider. So,
I think our bottom line recommendation is no dating apps. See, I watched the video and I got that advice.
And then-
I came in headstrong. I was like, I'm not gonna do it.
and then you get bored.
First weekend. Tinder. Ruined my life.
It's a wasteland.
Have you guys have any experience dating foreign men
No.
in Korea?
Because, and this is me being
Okay.
honest, the non-Korean
Yeah,
men who have approached me, they are military.
Oh,
yeah.
And they do come
that's
on,
yeah.
like,
Strong.
I don't even know how to describe it. It's like,
They turn me off.
Yeah, it's a very big turn off.
It's a very big turn
It's
off,
like
yeah.
you're in the club and they're not even saying hi. They're like, what's your Instagram?
Yeah.
Right.
We both speak English.
Yeah,
like
like,
we
talk
can
to
have
me.
a conversation
Talk to me.
first.
Now, of course, there are good men. Disclaimer: there are good men.
Right here, prime
example.
example.
Yes.
I met my husband
She
in
found the
Korea.
unicorn.
Yeah.
You know.
And I will add that my friends who are in very loving, committing relationships, they were friends
Yeah.
with these guys first. So
Yeah.
I'm team friendship.
Yes.
First, I would recommend finding hobbies to do in Korea.
That's how
Like,
you can meet a lot of people.
yeah, baby. I do boxing.
Oh, what those men like?
There's some fire. And they speak English.
Oh
Honey. There's some look.
Yeah.
Just get
Get a hobby.
Get a hobby.
Yeah,
Get
get a
into
hobby.
sports if you you are knitting, there are clubs. If
language
you are
exchange.
into language exchange, video games,
Yeah.
anything. They
And I
have
think,
clubs here.
especially like language exchange, those are people who are interested in speaking English and learning about other
And
cultures.
we're not talking about hello talk.
Yeah.
She's talking about face-to-face
physical
language exchange.
language exchange is also a good place to make friends and possibly more.
Yeah.
If that's what you want.
But start with friendship. Don't go into it thinking, oh, I want to date this person. Just be
Yeah.
friends, get to know them. You're two very different people, same as you would do back in the States or wherever you're from.
Yeah, and remember, K-dramas are fiction. Korea.
We all prefer living in South
6 years.
Korea.
6 years.
Right,
What do you
and then
think?
probably even more. She's building a whole career out here, so.
I'm trying to call this home.
So I think one of the worst things is not constantly being around your people, being an other, which plays into being a foreigner, but it especially plays into being black, just because of our skin tone. I think with the best parts, I mean, I've gone over this in my other videos, is just the safety factor. You just don't know how huge that is until you are living here and don't live with that constant anxiety for your safety.
So for me, I think this can be shaped as a positive and a negative. So something that I love about being black in Korea, something that might be more of a dislike, is the fact that we do stand out. For me, the more negative leaning piece is that you just never feel as though you are part of the party. You're always going to be the other, the outlier, the one
Even a
that's
token.
the token, right? Where people will befriend you or find solace with you simply because they want to understand or be woke or just have that one friend that's like, oh yeah, she's different.
Foreigner friend, not the friend.
But then specifically the black foreigner friend. But more optimistic and more positive is through standing out. I feel like I've had a lot of success in not only my YouTube career, being here in Korea, and also through music, which is something that I really want to pursue along with teaching. So I have a lot more opportunities to stand out because I am a black woman. So I am kind of using that as privilege, which, you know, it's great to have privilege for
Exactly.
So, I'm going to take this opportunity to hopefully use that to boost my career, boost my exposure, boost my friendships, and the people that I connect with so that I can make a name for myself.
Worst thing, dating.
That's probably.
Worst thing is definitely dating. The best thing about being black in Korea, we do keep talking about this, the safety issue. Now, that is not to say that there's no crime in Korea, because there is crime in Korea and there's crimes against women in Korea. However, there is a difference in feeling like a target because of not only my gender, but then my race, that like you feel at home. As an American, it always felt a bit uncomfortable and unsafe as a black woman in America, and with the way things have happened in the last few years, the thought of going back home is way more stressful than the thought of staying here.
Right.
I enjoy my life way more now than I ever did before. I don't feel like my life is hard because I'm black.
Yeah. That is a really great thing, because you definitely feel that way in America.
I said this to my mom the other day, that my worst day in Korea so far is still better than some of my best days in America. And I'm not saying this to speak down on where I come from. Like, we are Americans. We'll always be Americans.
I love being an American.
But I think it speaks to a flawed system, a flawed country. And that I'm so thankful that I had the resources and the opportunity to leave. Because I know for some of my friends, they want to get out, but they just can't right now. So
we are all huge advocates of, getting out there. I mean, you may find that the U.S. is better, or other country, your home country is better.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
but you won't know until you try.
Exactly.
Would I recommend it? Yes.
Of course.
Yes, 100%. I think that the amount of stress you said you had lived with in America compared to how you're feeling now, it's
night and day.
Yeah.
Literally night and day.
If you are feeling burnt out at home, if you're feeling stressed out at home, get out. Even for a year. Like, just move away into a different situation,
Yeah.
and I think that you will gain really good perspective over your life and you as a person.
I would say everyone's experience in Korea is different.
Yes.
I definitely recommend trying it. It's definitely not for some people. It is for others.
Right.
But know there are success stories, and know that there are not great positive stories, but there are success stories.
there are.
And I think, you know, us three are very great examples of that. And coming from America, I think I talk about this with my husband all the time. It's like one of the reasons we won't move back to America is because there's that underlying anxiety
Yes.
we didn't know we felt each day living there. Just even going to the gas station to put gas in your car and always being aware of your surroundings, you know, the safety of it.
I feel more free here.
Yes. It's the happiest I've ever been.
Yeah, same.
And that anxiety that you're talking about, it's something I'm still trying to shake off.
Right.
Because it's been years
Yeah.
of that. So being
Right.
here, I get so anxious in situations where I say, hey, you like put your guard down.
Yeah.
Like it's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
You can let that down. So.
Taylor, I think you and I are very lucky that we lived in Korea during the height of the Black Lives Matter
Oh, yeah.
protests and movement happening in America. Like, I felt stressed about that
yeah.
living here. So I can't even imagine being in America at that time.
I mean, if you're not wanting to come live here, come visit. If you're not wanting to do either, go to another country.
There's so many countries in the
There's
world.
so many other than
And borders
America.
are opening now.
Yeah, things are opening up.
exactly. Travel. I think bottom line, I want more Black people to travel.
Yes.
I think that's something we are not doing enough of. I know a big reason is because people are hesitant about how they will be treated because they are Black
A bit of fear.
in other countries.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, the Black travel movement is happening. I think, you know, countries are being more accepting of us, or we feel, you know, like we can be there and feel like, you know, it's not like a huge issue. I don't know.
Get out. Get out. That is my advice to anybody who is feeling stressed, anxious. Like, the best thing you can do for yourself is removing yourself from that situation. Even
Try
if it's
something
not,
different.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even if it's not a permanent move, just remove yourself from that situation for a bit.
Yeah.
And
And if teaching in Korea is something, you know, you've been thinking about doing, contracts are 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
1 year.
That time
you know?
flies.
It really does. I guess any advice for people coming to live, teach, or visit here? Prepare for the staring. you know.
Mentally prepare yourself for that.
Learn Hangul.
Yes.
Do learn basics. At least learn how to
learn a
read
little bit of
Korean.
Hangul.
I would say, if you don't already have a strong sense of yourself, build yourself up first before going anywhere else in the world, because anti-Blackness is everywhere. So if you have that sense of inner strength of like knowing you are who you are, you're proud of who you are, you're proud of being Black, then traveling anywhere is going to be a breeze for you.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay.
And keep an open mind. I know a lot of teachers here, they leave soon after they get here, either when their contract's over or before, because they had an idea of how Korea is going to be for them. It ended up being completely different, and then they were disappointed, they were angry, they just weren't happy with their situation. But if you come here with whatever happens, you make the best of your situation, you know, at least get through that year, and things could change, but allow yourself to be open to that opportunity and that experience living in a foreign country, especially as a person of color.
Yeah, that have an open mind thing. Just like we want and expect other people to have an open mind towards us,
Yes.
we should have an open mind towards them.
Right, because we can't expect them to respect our culture if we don't respect theirs.
Yeah.
Y'all said it all.
Yeah. So I guess that's a great note to end on. Thank you, Courtney and Hunter, for joining me in this video today. I hope we answered all your questions. But if you have any others, feel free to leave a comment down below. Both Courtney and Hunter are also on YouTube, so make sure you follow their channels, and I know they will help me in answering any further questions
I'll be in the
you
comments.
have. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You guys, as always, have an amazing, wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.
Bye.